The first season of the New Orleans Saints franchise has come to an end. As you see, the Pro Bowl players are just scrolling by your screen right now. And we did have quite a few players make the Pro Bowl. All of them were offensive, though. Number 1, QB number 3 on the NFC side, Drew Brees made the team, and then basically, actually our entire offensive line made it as the first string offensive line. Teron Armstead left tackle, Austin Peete left guard, Max Unger center, I believe it's Larry Warford at right guard, and then Ryan Ramczyk, as I believe how you pronounce it, at right tackle. And then our punter Thomas Morstead made the Pro Bowl as well. I would say that Cameron Jordan and Alex Okafor, our two DNs, were definitely snubbed. Cameron Jordan had 18.5 sacks, and Okafor had 17.5 as well. I would say they were pretty snubbed on the defensive end portion of the Pro Bowl. But let's get into the stats for our team, what our players did. Drew Brees made the Pro Bowl because he threw for 3,603 yards, 26 touchdowns, 18 INTs, and had a very nice completion percentage of 69%. As far as the rushing goes, Alvin Kamara had 133 carries for 669 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only one fumble. Mark Ingram, the other side of the duo, had 135 rushing yards, 135 carries, 561 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, and he fumbled twice. On the receiving game, Michael Thomas was the number 1 receiver, 51 receptions, 841 yards, 7 touchdowns. We didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers, but we had a ton of guys who were all spread out around the same number. Willie Snead had 47 receptions for 654 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brandon Coleman, the Rutgers product, 38 receptions, 553 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Kobe Fleener, 28 receptions, 657 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ted Ginn, 21 receptions, 388 yards, 5 touchdowns. Ted Ginn and Brandon Coleman both missed quite a decent number of games. I believe they both only played around 10 games. Ted Ginn might have even played less than that. He might have only played like 8 or something like that. But they both missed quite a number of games, and they still put up those numbers. So if they were healthy for the entire season, they probably would have put up... it's fair to say they would have put up better numbers. On the defensive side of things, we didn't have any guys who were outstanding tacklers, mainly because our linebackers were switching up all season long. Besides Gerald Hodges, who I will get into a bit later on in the video. And then plus I also do like to move linebackers in and out, so I rarely have the same linebacker core on the field at all times. Cameron Jordan did lead the team in tackles, defensive end, 65 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 18.5 sacks, also led the team. Marcus Williams had 59 tackles, which was tied for second, 1 INT, 6 deflections in his rookie season. Alex Anzalone, also a rookie, 59 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 1 INT. Kenny Vaccaro, 58 tackles, 3 INTs, 2 of which were returned for pick sixes. Marshawn Lattimore, in his rookie season, 58 tackles at the corner position, 5 interceptions, and 2 deflections. Alex Okafor, 54 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 17.5 sacks, was second on the team. And then there was also Delvin Breaux, who is unfortunately not going to be brought back, as he wanted quite a big contract, and he's also 28 years old, so he is a corner. He is going to start losing a step here and there, so I don't really want to bring him back. Plus, we have a very deep corner spot. Ken Crawley is going to step up to replace him. I will get into that a bit later on. But Delvin Breaux did have 35 tackles, 3 INTs, and 8 deflections, so he is going to be a pretty big piece in that secondary to replace, while Gerald Hodges, who was a linebacker, the best overall linebacker on the team, wasn't even on the first page for tackles. He did not really have a good season, and he was on the field for every 4-3 play, but he was not on for nickel coverages or dime coverages because he wasn't that great of a coverage receiver. And then I'd rather have guys like Ukemi Eligwe, who would be on the field for nickel coverages, or Craig Robertson, or Julian Stanford, who will not be brought back. Robertson will be brought back, though. We'll get into that a bit later on. As far as who won the Super Bowl, that is the Atlanta Falcons beat the Tennessee Titans by a score of 26-21. Tennessee pretty much dominated the game yard-wise, but they had 3 turnovers that killed them. I believe they were all fumbles that went the other way for Atlanta. Mariota threw for 263 yards, no picks, but 3 touchdowns. He was sacked and fumbled, and then I believe it was DeMarco Murray who fumbled as well. Delaney Walker had 10 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. Knowing how Madden plays, how the CPU plays in Madden, I'm sure 8 of those 10 receptions were the 4 verts and like the all 5 wide thing where the tight end is on that like cross/deep post thing where he's always open no matter what you call. I'm sure 8 of those 10 receptions were on that play. Corey Davis, the rookie out of Western Michigan, he had 5 receptions for only 29 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns. So congratulations to the Tennessee Titans on their Super Bowl championship. But that's not realistic, Jersey. Only in Madden. I'm funny in my joke. No, it's if I wanted the Patriots to win every single game they played in every single Super Bowl, it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be Madden. That's what makes Madden fun. And you gotta find what makes Madden fun, because there are a lot of issues with the game, and I'm definitely in the crowd that enjoys stuff like when you see the Browns are a good team, or Tennessee wins the Super Bowl, or just these random players are all of a sudden really good. It adds a new element to the game, rather than if it was just, if a player's rated good, he's always good. If a player's rated bad, he's never good. What would be the point of even having bad players and developing people? There wouldn't be a point in it. And during the season, we re-signed 4 players. The first one was Drew Brees for 1 year, $24.3 million. Then Willie Snead for 4 years, $27.5 million over those 4. And then Brandon Coleman for $7.16 million over 2 years. And then our fullback John Kuhn was brought back for $1.9 million over 1 year. And then even though Drew Brees did sign that contract, and the reason I signed him to that 1 more year was because the QB class for this upcoming draft was absolute garbage. You see it on the screen right now. Not a single person on that screen worth picking. Not a single one. So I decided to bring him back and then take our shot in the draft next year, or try to get somebody in free agency. And, well, kind of a divot in my plans here, as Drew Brees retired despite signing a 1-year deal. He just said, screw that, I'm done, and he retired. So the 1-year deal, even though he accepted that, I guess doesn't matter. So Drew Brees retires. There will be a new New Orleans Saints quarterback in this upcoming season. We will get into that once we get into free agency, which is the next segment. And, before we got into free agency, though, we did re-sign 2 players. Kenny Vaccaro, 3 years, $12.3 million over those 3, and then Ukeme Eligwe, who is our middle linebacker number 1. He is the guy in the center of the defense. He had a breakout year. He's an undrafted free agent out of Georgia Southern. He used to play at Florida State, but ended up transferring. And Eligwe, I was very impressed with him. He's a speedy guy. We developed him quite a bit. I enjoyed playing with him, so he's brought back for 2 years, $4.44 million. He's our middle linebacker. Now, moving on to free agency, we have Sebastian Vollmer was signed for a 1-year deal. He is just depth to have at offensive tackle. Injuries happen. We saw them happen a lot throughout our year. We don't want to have shitty backups to the point where our quarterback's going to be getting blasted behind his line if one guy goes down. So Sebastian Vollmer, he has been signed to a 1-year deal. Max Turk, I don't know how you say this, USC, a couple years in the league, I believe, 2 years, $5.36 million. He is also a depth on the inside, offensive guard. We signed Anthony Walker Jr., a middle linebacker, to a depth contract. He is a 2-year, $3.6 million over those 2 years. Joe Thomas III, I believe it's Joe. He's a veteran linebacker who will be rotating in it. Like I said, I like to rotate linebackers. If I see someone's tired, they go in. If I know this is going to be a play where they're going to throw, a certain different set of linebackers will go in for that. Well, if it's probably going to be a run play, different set of linebackers for that. I like to rotate people in and out like that on defense, as well as also with receivers and running backs. And then another linebacker we signed to a depth deal who's going to get a lot of time in nickel packages and dime packages is McDonald. I don't remember his first name. All I know is this guy is super fast. He's going to be a project. I believe he's a converted safety. If he's not, then he's just super fast for no reason. We signed him to a 1-year deal. He's going to be a bit of a project. He can't tackle the greatest. He's got decent coverage, but he's going to be a bit of a project, but he will be getting a lot of time in the nickel and dime coverages because of his speed. We also have ourselves a new slot corner in Terrence Mitchell, the 5th-year player out of Oregon. He's signed to a 2-year, $8.8 million deal. He's got some great acceleration, great agility, and then he's overall pretty good. 78 man, 77 zone, 76 play rec. I felt like he would be a pretty decent guy to have in the slot position. He is a New Orleans Saint now. And now, the moment that you're probably all waiting for. Who is the new quarterback for the New Orleans Saints? We went into free agency, signed a pretty decent one. There was a few available, but we decided to settle on Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Touchdown is the new quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. He has taken the place of Drew Brees, and welcome to the Saints. So Teddy Bridgewater is QB number 1 for New Orleans now. We also re-signed Okafor. I initially let him walk into free agency because he wanted quite a big contract. I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough money to give him what he wanted, or if I signed him in the re-sign phase, if I wasn't going to have enough money to really go after a quarterback like I wanted to. So I ended up signing Bridgewater and then got Okafor afterwards for 2 years, $15 million. So he's back to tandem with Cameron Jordan on those defensive end spots. EJ Manuel, the first-round pick in 2013 for the Buffalo Bills. He is our QB number 2. Chase Daniel was it last year. I was not a fan of his skill set. Very weak arm, but he's sort of accurate and just has a lot of experience being a backup in the league. He's kind of like a mentor-type guy in the NFL. But that doesn't really work for me. I wanted a guy who, if Teddy Bridgewater does go down, we have a guy who's ready to step up in EJ Manuel. At least I believe he can do decently. So, he's our backup. We also signed CJ Prosise. Once again, same deal with Okafor. It wasn't like he was expensive, though. I just didn't know if I wanted to bring him back or if I was going to sign somebody else or maybe draft somebody or maybe just Kamara, Ingram, and Edmonds is enough. But we did see how many people got injured last season at the running back position, so I did bring back CJ Prosise to a 1-year deal. We also signed Calvin Pryor, the 2014 first-round pick for the New York Jets, at free safety. He will be backing up Marcus Williams at the free safety position for us. And now taking a look at our draft, we had 5 selections. We had 6 overall picks, but we traded our 4th-round pick for, I believe, a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft. I did not show that because it's not really worthy. I can just say it, and you guys will know about it. So in the 1st round, we drafted a center, Joe Druckenmiller, a center out of Minnesota. He already has 84 run block, 83 pass block, 91 impact block, and he is a superstar development. He will be immediately at the starting center position for us, despite Max Unger being a Pro Bowler last year. He does not have the best skills, the best attributes, so Druckenmiller immediately in it's the center position. Round 3, we did not have a round 2 pick. I did not trade that away. We already did not have it. So round 3, we took Nolan Herman. He's a white guy, so I'm assuming it's German. Free safety, Indiana. I moved him to strong safety, or is he already a strong safety? I don't know. He's a safety out of Indiana. He has 90 speed, 73 zone, 92 hit power. I like to have that big, hard-hitting presence, that run support type strong safety at that position. Right now we have Kenny Vaccaro. And then now we have this Nolan guy who will be there, probably switching in and out with Vaccaro. If Vaccaro gets tired, he will go in, and then eventually taking over for Vaccaro at that position. Round 5, because like I said, I traded away our round 4 pick. Round 5 was Martinez Owens, a defensive end out of Penn State, another Big Ten guy. Normal development for him, 89 power move, 82 speed, 81 acceleration, 75 block shed, 78 strength. He's got some decent stats. He's a bit of a project, but he can do some decent damage on the defensive end position. Right now we have it pretty much set as the starters and then the second stringers rotating in and out, but Martinez Owens might be a guy who does work his way in there eventually in the rotation. Round 6, we took O.C. Del Greco, a tight end out of Iowa. Normal development, 78 speed, 84 catch, 79 catch in traffic. He will be the number 3 tight end behind Kobe Fleener and Josh Hill, who are both 80-plus overalls. O.C. Del Greco is just the guy to be in there for depth. Round 7, Alan Huerman. This guy was just I didn't know who to pick. It's just a round 7 pick, halfback. He's from Navy. Normal dev, he's got 90 speed, 94 acceleration, 84 juke move. We already have quite a few decent returners. I will get into that a bit later on, but this guy is probably just going to be on the practice squad, and if he does ever make the team, it'll be probably because of like kick return or punt return duties. Or we are just really starving for running backs. And then after the draft, we went through the roster, changed everybody's position where they needed to be. Maybe they needed to switch from left end to right end, to left outside linebacker to right outside linebacker, to free safety to strong safety, stuff like that. And then one guy who we did change from one position to a very different, significant one, Taysom Hill. In real life, he is a quarterback. He is a 28-year-old rookie out of BYU because of injuries, and he got a bunch of medical red shirts, and he also went on a bunch of missions because BYU. He is a special teamer with the Saints in real life, makes a lot of special teams plays. He had a key in blocking, or he had a big part in blocking and recovering the punt against the... Why am I blank? Against the Vikings in the divisional round in real life. So Taysom Hill, he's no longer a quarterback for us because I don't think he has a future there at that position. I moved him to receiver. He's got some decent speed, and I think that he is going to be moving in and out. You know, maybe when we get some multiple wide receiver sets, I'll put him in a few plays, develop him a bit, just kind of moving him there because he doesn't really have any future at quarterback in my opinion. So I moved him to wide receiver just to see what we have there with Taysom Hill. And then moving into the preseason, there's always guys who don't get signed in free agency, and one of them that stuck out to me was Tavon Austin. Absolutely electrifying speed, Tavon Austin. He's listed as a halfback, but I moved him back to wide receiver. We do have quite a few receivers, but I'm going to make this guy fit in our receiving core. He is going to be splitting time at slot. Like I said, I like to move people in and out constantly. Really, Michael Thomas is on the field at all times, but besides that, everybody else just in, out, in, out, in, out, and taking turns. Sometimes one guy will have a good game, sometimes another guy will have a good game. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Maybe I feel I need some more speed. Maybe I feel I need more size. Tavon Austin, he's going to get plenty of touches, plenty of receptions in this offense, and definitely will be splitting kick return and punt return duties with Ted Ginn. I think I'm probably going to have like Ted Ginn on the punt returns, Austin the kick returns, maybe the other way around. Maybe I'm going to always do the 2 kick returners back on the kick return. I don't know, we'll figure things out, but Tavon Austin is a part of our team now. And then just some guys to fill the squad and who eventually did make the actual team because we did not show any preseason. I just don't feel like playing that. I turned off injuries to cheat, basically, and just simmed through the preseason, then turned them back on for the regular season. Call me cheap for doing that, whatever you want. I don't really care. That's what I did. We signed Dion Robinson, a receiver who is just like on our practice squad. He will probably be like a kick returner, maybe like a bottom-tier receiver eventually. B.J. Bello, a middle linebacker, Illinois State second-year player. He is actually one of our depth middle linebackers on our main roster now. And then Adrian Patrick is our number 5 corner on our roster, a rookie, undrafted rookie out of Syracuse. He's got some decent stats, and I brought him on the team. So right now our quarterback position is looking like Marshawn Lattimore, of course, is number 1. Ken Crawley was our slot guy last year. He's moved up to number 2. He's like an 80-plus overall. And then we signed Terrence Mitchell in free agency. And then if he's going to be the new slot guy, P. Williams, I don't know his first name, he's the 4th guy. And then this Adrian Patrick, undrafted rookie, is our number 5 corner. And like I mentioned earlier, Gerald Hodges was not re-signed. He didn't really have any impact. He wasn't really noticeable on too many plays, so I just decided not to give him like the 4-year ridiculous contract that he wanted because he was like an 85 overall or whatever he was. So instead, Manti Te'o's still on the team. He'll be taking over the starting duties at that position, but like I said, I always move people in and out of that position. Alex Anzalone's on the other outside linebacker starting position, and then Ukeme Eligwe is the starting middle linebacker. I'm sure you'll be seeing the roster scrolling through right now. That is the roster that I took heading into the preseason, so just be aware that if you see numbers or overalls or whatever, it's based on scheme, obviously, for overalls, and then the numbers probably aren't final because I edited numbers for rookies, and if guys had numbers I didn't want them to have, I changed them. And then some of those guys are on the practice squad, some of those guys just flat out didn't make the team. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Saints Offseason. Next episode is Week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying goodbye.
Tried to tell it to her nicely, but she never wanna listen. Beat the pussy to submission. Tom Cruise on a mission. Pull an R&B singer, bring her back to South Central. I shine just like a pop star. MJ my initial. Kobe Bryant with the spin moves. Itty Nick got issues. H-Town with Beyonce. Turned her to my prom date. Kingpin like Jay-Z. Dance moves like JT.